Hey, Christine.
Hi, Jessica. How are you?
What are you? All right, let me
Good.
get people added here. Larry's joined. Hey, Larry. Um, all right, cool. Can I pop this out here? Yeah. Thanks for jumping on. I appreciate you guys doing this.
Yeah, looking forward to this.
Yeah. Can I pop this out too?
I logged on early because I have two Zoom accounts, my work one and then my personal one. And you never know when there might be a problem, right? So,
Make sure you get on the right one.
yeah. I mean, it wouldn't be the end of the world, but I try to keep my work stuff separate from
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hey, Larry.
Larry. Are you on
Hi.
twice?
Am I in twice?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Are
Am
there
I?
two
No, I
Larrys
see
on?
my name. I see
Oh,
my
you know
name
what?
twice.
I wonder if, Larry Gerslin tried to jump in earlier today, or he was at least,
Oh, okay.
that might be Larry Gerslin. I'm not sure.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know I had to put my last initial on. I didn't know
Oh,
No, you
that.
don't have to. You don't have to. Mine just defaults to that because I'm on Zoom all day.
yeah.
So,
Mine for work has my job title and,
all the official stuff.
yep.
What I wanted to try to do, share.
There's actually a winter weather warning right now.
Yeah.
It got really super cold outside
Yeah.
pretty fast.
Matter of fact, I'm going to text my daughter and tell her to be really careful. She's very pregnant right now.
Oh,
And she's at dinner with a friend. So,
Walter, admit. All right. Walter jumping in. Perfect. Walter. Okay. All right. I'm gonna. um, all right. Andy is coming in. Okay.
Who's Walter? Walter Steenson.
Oh, got it. Hey, Andrew.
Hey, good evening. Can you hear me all right?
hello.
It's good. Cool.
Good.
Mhm. Um,
Yes.
enable. John's coming in. Admit. Hey, John, how's it going? Thanks for jumping on. Um,
Good evening, everybody. How we doing?
Good. How are you
Good.
doing?
Doing all right. It's almost Friday.
Friday.
There. I'll figure my shirt stripes are gonna cause chaos.
You always gotta be careful what you wear on a Zoom because you don't know how the cameras and all that stuff.
Yeah, I've worn this. I've worn this a lot for work, but yeah, it's definitely got a little going on. I can always throw a sport coat on to cover it and hide it.
Yeah. It's funny because like sometimes I know both you and Christine, a lot of you guys work remotely sometimes, but I always keep a blazer close by because I never know.
Yeah, okay. Here we go. No.
All right.
How obnoxious are the stripes for you guys?
Fine.
No,
They
it's
don't bother
fine.
me.
Yeah,
They're
Okay.
not
it's
bothering
fine.
me at all.
All right.
So
On my screen, they're kind of wavy, but normally, like I said, I've worn this shirt a bunch in meetings, so far so good.
my goodness. Okay. All right, so we're 7 minutes early. We give a few minutes to get other people jumped in on. I was shocked. I had 28 or 29 people respond that they were either interested or coming. So there was
Good.
a lot of you know, interest, and I'm recording it obviously. I'm gonna put it somewhere, whether it's on Facebook if it'll allow me, or at that my website at the Hill and Record. That way people can go back and watch it if they want. I want a pencil. Where's my pencil? Probably like the last person on earth who uses pencils. There. Oh,
I work with engineers, so you're not.
oh, you use pencils all the time. You guys use
I
pencils.
don't, but my engineering
Yes,
colleagues
yes.
do.
Yeah.
And we're not allowed to use pencils because I work at, in a medical field and everything has to be,
Yeah.
ink
Permanent.
pen.
Man.
Jess, I can't remember. Do you want these written answers tomorrow or Saturday? I can't remember.
Tomorrow, if you can't get them, if you're busy and work is crazy, like Saturday's fine. But
I could-
yeah.
Thank you. I might be able to do, I mean, they're pretty much done, but depending on what is said tonight, I might
Maybe.
tweak them so they're more reflective of what I actually
Sure.
say.
Yeah, you all work and have other obligations outside of this, so like Saturday is totally fine.
There's a couple of questions that I mean, they're all good questions, but a couple of them, like, that's a really great question. There's two or three that really struck me.
And I had a little must have minimized it. Where'd it go? I had like a little thing up here that was telling me who was coming in, and all of a sudden it disappeared on me. I don't know where it went. Of course, I have like 40 windows open, so.
Larry, you must get a lot of wildlife in your backyard like my mom does next door to you.
I had 15 deer in my yard 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
My yard looked like a piece of Swiss cheese. So many hoof prints.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting in the winter to see all the, prints from the animals with the snow and, I don't have that many critters running through my backyard, but more than I thought,
Yeah.
and it becomes much more evident with the snow.
It's been a tough winter for animals.
Yeah.
And real winter.
Yeah.
Very cold. Pretty Hewitt. Here we go.
Larry, I was glad to see that Nancy Laporte got Citizen of the Year.
Yeah, that's she's a great lady and she's been involved in a lot of things and been around a long time. So yeah, she's great to talk to and be around for
I
sure.
don't know if I may have mentioned this, but she married Ann and I, and
Oh,
then
really?
she
Well,
30.
we won't hold that against her.
Yeah, and well, then she married my brother and his first wife, so she was one for one on that. And then
Okay.
she just married my daughter in September.
Oh, good. Minister that married us uh, uh, got divorced 5 years after he married us.
Oh no.
It
Uh,
happens.
mine lasted longer than the minister's.
Jeez. Good.
Yeah, it's weird because she was the pastor. One of the churches she served in was in Leroy, which is my mom's church forever. So, the Hilton transplant got to Leroy and kind of made a connection with us.
You had a double connection there.
Mhm.
Oop, Carmen coming in and Mitt.
Hi, Andy. How you doing?
Good, John. How are you?
Doing all right.
How are the girls?
They're doing well. My wife's out in Syracuse visiting our older one tonight and tomorrow. I may go out tomorrow. I don't know yet. We'll just see what the day brings.
Nice. I'll tell them I said hi.
I will.
6 o'clock on the nose now. Oh, here we go. We got Sam. I think we'll give another minute or two just to allow people to get in. Might have some stragglers, but that's okay. I'm going to change my view here to gallery. Here we go. All right. All right. Well, we can get started. Thanks everybody for joining. This is the first ever candidates night that I know of in Hilton Village history. So thank you all for taking the time out of your day and your schedules to be here. We have currently 7 people running this year, 3 for mayor, 4 for trustee. We have the a wonderful opportunity to have 4 of those people here tonight, and I'd like to welcome each one of them in no particular order. We've got Andrew Fowler running for mayor, Larry Spear, who's also running for mayor. We've got John Steinmetz and Christine Brower, who are both running for village trustee, and a couple of people who could not be here tonight due to prior engagements, and is Jamie Atoma, who's running for village trustee, current mayor Joe Lee, who's also running for trustee, and then businessman Michael Singello, who is running for mayor. So that's your slate of candidates. If you live in the village, that's who you've got the opportunity to vote for this year. And so without any further ado, I'll get started. Basically, I'm going to go around. You'll all have, I said 5 minutes. 5 minutes might be a long time, but just out of respect for time, let's try not to go over 5 minutes. I'll go around and we'll start with just a brief introduction. If each of you could just say your name, how long maybe you've lived in the village, and why you're running, and then we'll move on to the open forum. Christine, I'll start with you because you're top on my screen.
All right, thanks, Jessica.
Yeah.
My name's Christine Brower. I've lived in the village for 33 years, and I'm running. I've raised my family here, my daughter. I've actively contributed to the village. And my decision to run is just a genuine desire to ensure our village continues to thrive. I want to balance progress with preservation of our unique character. And I just have a genuine interest in, keeping the village or, keeping it moving forward, but also preserving the things that am so happy that I raised my daughter here and I've been here this long. So,
Wonderful. Larry, you're next. How about you?
Yes, I'm a lifelong resident of the Hilton area. I grew up on Manitowoc and Latta, but went to Hilton schools and have been involved in Hilton ever since then. Um, I've been involved in many activities and many businesses in the village. One of my most rewarding, I guess you'd say, is I've been able to help the Berger Funeral Home for many years and the families that need that comfort and support during that time. So that's been a great thing for me, among many other things. But involved in this volunteering for the sports programs in the school, 34-year volunteer for the Hilton Fire Department, and uh, so yeah, so that's my background. Been around Hilton my whole life. So yeah.
Wonderful. John, what about you?
Yeah, I moved to Hilton after college in winter. I don't know if it was December or January, but it was 94 or 95. So it's been 30 plus years. We've owned a couple of homes in the village, the first one on Overlook, now on West Avenue. I happen to marry someone who was born and raised here, Ann Nitzenberger, class of 86. So when we came back from Virginia to settle down with our young daughter at the time, Hilton became the choice, and I'm so glad it did. I love this village. And I'm running because I'm a government consultant, so I've got 3 decades of experience working with small towns and villages and smaller and bigger cities too. Trying to help government work better, be more transparent, and I want to bring those ideas to the village and help the community thrive as best I can. And I think, like Christine, I think the one of the things that's near and dear to my heart is village character and community character and kind of the charm that makes a village a great place to live. And Hilton has that. And I want to make sure we keep it and improve upon it.
Awesome. Certainly. All right. Anything else, John?
No, that'll do it.
All right, cool. All right, Andrew, how about you?
Hi, good evening. Thanks, Jessica, for hosting this. This is great. Great opportunity for our residents to hear from us, hear our platforms, and have a great dialogue a couple weeks ahead of the election. I'm a lifelong village resident, born and raised, grew up on Cambridge Road, attended Hilton School District. When I met my wife, there was no question on where we should buy a house, raise our own family. That's right here in the village. So I grew up on Cambridge Road. I'm over on Cedar Terrace now. My whole life I've been here, and I've been a part of our community my whole life as well. I'm a three-term village trustee. I've spent the 14 years, there's a 2-year gap between terms 1 and 2 when I was searching for a teaching job because there was a time when teaching jobs were far and few between. Found my wife, found a teaching job with Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES. We're growing a family now. We have a 4 and a 6-year-old, both over at Village Elementary. So that's my background on what brings me here to Hilton. I've never left Hilton. That's what brought me here. I'm running for mayor because I've served 12 years on the village board, and I see that the village is at a crossroads. We have a lot of change coming up naturally through retirements. It's going to be important for the next mayor to work with the board cooperatively to make sure we're replacing people who are retiring so the village is in the best position to make very large decisions that we have coming down the line. So it's very critical. This is a very critical election for the village of Hilton.
Very good. All right. So we'll jump right in. And again, I'm just picking at random. so the next question that we're going to move on to is what is the single most important issue facing the village of Hilton in the next 2 to 3 years? And John, I think I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, that one's pretty easy. It's the ambulance service.
Sure.
I think securing long-term sustainable ambulance service for the village and obviously jointly with the town, it's critical. My mother lives in the community. She's 82. Older residents rely on the ambulance for peace of mind, to make sure that when something happens, something unfortunate happens, someone's there quickly to help them with a fully equipped ambulance to get them the care and get them to the hospital or the medical center that they need. So to me, it's a pretty easy one. It's the ambulance service, getting that nailed down long term.
All right. Larry, what about you?
Yes, I would echo those thoughts by John. I think that's the number one priority. I've been working on this and for 3 or 4 years now to try to get this accomplished. And that's finally coming to fruition. And I think we made some good progress with it. And I'm looking forward to having that in place by January 1st of 2027. Of course, I've been in the fire department for many years, and I realized the importance of having a ambulance based right here in Hilton. And I was a member of the department when we did have one base full time. It was great. The fire department loved it. The chiefs loved it. It was the response times were great, and it was a very good benefit for 24-hour service. Anytime anybody walked up to the firehouse, there was always somebody there. So that was great, especially for a volunteer fire department, which isn't always staffed all the time.
Sure.
The second thing, I guess, I got two of them. The second thing, the most important facing issue is costs, the rising cost of just about everything, healthcare, wages, equipment. As we go forward, that's going to be the difficult challenge, especially with the 2% tax cap. The it's getting really squeezed, and we're trying to maintain some great services that we provide, but the wages are a factor, and along with supporting the community center building. So between the ambulance and the financial commitments in the future, next 2 or 3 years, I think that's the number one and two things. Sure.
For sure. Andrew?
Yeah, I agree with both John and Larry with the ambulance. However, I don't see that as a 2 to 3 year fix. That's a right now fix. The
Yeah.
RFP has been designed a cooperative committee with the town board and the village board. We had a fire commissioner. We had a fire chief represented on this committee. We drafted an RFP. It's in the hands of the attorneys. So, like Larry said, we're moving quickly on this. We're hoping for a January 1st solution to the ambulance. I think the biggest challenge for the next 2 to 3 years, like I mentioned in my opening statement, is replacing our retirement management team. So the Village of Hilton, the mayor and the trustees, the five of us, the board, we're all part-time positions. The Village of Hilton has a village administrator. We have department heads, and by no fault of anybody, they're nearing retirement. So the next mayor and the next board, it'll be their task to properly lay out a succession plan, whether it's a change of the management structure of the village, finding the right candidates, making sure there's proper cross-training, really sets the village up in a good position because also January 1st, 2027, the Village of Hilton becomes owners of the post office building, which is a 30-year land lease, which is expiring. So there'll be one more building that will need maintenance and repair that falls into the Village of Hilton's hands. Our community center is about to turn 100 years old. That building costs a lot to operate, day-to-day operations out of. And it's no secret that the town department is looking to relocate both the recreation department and the library to the town park campus. So the next mayor, the next village board, will have to facilitate conversation around how do we navigate the potential changes that we can control and the potential changes we can't. And that all starts with our management team too. Our civil servants, our 5 day a week, 40 hours a week, more, they're salaried, that fill our offices.
Christine, what about you?
As I mentioned in my introduction, one of my reasons for running is because of, my desire to ensure our village continues to thrive, and we balance our progress with our preservation of our unique character. And I think that it's really important for the village to be mindful and find a way to balance the new business and our residential properties and how those interact together and the impact of one on the other. More specifically, having businesses impacting residential properties. And our comprehensive plan has a lot of information about what the wishes of our residents and our current government are. And I think that we need to be mindful of that as we approve certain projects and really are thoughtful about their impact on our residences.
That makes sense. Perfect. Um, and this is another question for all of you. So the question is, what experiences do you have managing budgets and overseeing public funds? Larry, I'll start with you first on this one.
Okay, so I've been on the board for over 20 years, the village board. So I've gone through 20 budget processes. So I'm very familiar and I feel as though very knowledgeable about the proper budgets and how to prioritize what's in the budget and what's not in the budget. Um, that's also a work of the whole trustee of the whole board and the mayor. But our treasurer does a great job of pulling the numbers together, making sure we're within our tax allotment as far as income. And these with 20 years of experience of doing budgets, I think I'm pretty knowledgeable on what's important in a budget and what the priorities are. And so that's again, it's getting harder and harder to do with our 2% tax cap when everything goes up 15% a year. So
Yeah.
pretty big challenge, but I think that uh, with the right team in place, I think we can obviously manage that. So
Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Christine, what do you have?
In my full-time job, I actually oversee a capital program where we, have budgets that are in the millions of dollars. So I have that formal experience. I'm directly responsible for those capital projects and those budgets, actually creating them, getting them approved, and overseeing them. And I also received my MBA at the University of Rochester in 2019. So I do have formal experiences as well. Um, Academic and formal experience managing budgets.
All right, Andy.
Yes, like Larry, I've been on the board 12 years. I've overseen 12 village budgets as a trustee. However, I've been the village board liaison to the village budget committee since 2018. So the committee does a little bit more of the groundwork ahead of the village board. We meet with the management team, with the treasurer head. We gather all of the budget requests from the different trustees. We try to see what fits, what doesn't fit. We have a lot of those offline records with our conversations with the treasurer who spearheads the project for us. As a village, we are very fiscally uh, responsible. We have one of the lowest tax rates for a village in Monroe County, and we are also completely debt-free, which is hard to find in a municipality. We don't have any bonds on buildings, no bonds on capital projects, not even a truck payment. We long-term plan, we future plan, we problem solve. We spend what we have. If we have a big project coming up, we might split it over a couple budgets. For an example, the new pole barn that showed up at our DPW building on the Henry Street. We funded the first half of that in this year's budget, next year's budget, which we talk about in 2 weeks because we're a June to May fiscal year. will fund the second half to finish off that project. So we take fiscal responsibility very carefully.
Mhm. John, what about you?
Yeah, thanks, Jessica.
Yeah.
So interesting story. In my senior year of college, I actually got asked by my hometown of the village of Leroy to correlate and create their budget for them. I thought I was going to be doing it with someone. I did it by myself. So, back in mid 90s, I did their budget beginning to end. I met with all the different departments, determined the tax rate, determined the assessment. And I was very proud for someone who hadn't really done a budget before. The village accounting firm said it's the first budget in 15 years that all the numbers worked. There's no edits whatsoever. And since then, working with either in government or for government as a consultant, I routinely work with municipalities on financial planning, drafting budget resolutions, administering financial reporting for grant programs, whether it's for planning grants, capital improvement grants, whatever the case may be. So I really do understand public accounting and public budgeting. It's something I do on a daily basis, myself and my team. So I'm very comfortable with it. And I understand how important it is.
The next question I'm going to ask is a trustee specific question. So these would apply to Christine and John. Christine, I'll ask you first. What skills do you bring that would complement the mayor and other trustees on the village board?
I think we know there'll be significant change with to the board with the mayor and two trustees out of five employees. Three of them will be new. I think that going into a position with an open mind and listening, trying to understand, asking questions, and then as you become more comfortable, potentially proposing changes or improvements. As I mentioned, I have an MBA, so I think that will help me. I have a certification in project management. I think that will probably help as well. And I have prior experience on the Village of Hilton Planning Board for 4 years, so I think that will also help me.
Definitely. John, what about you?
Yeah, I think I also served on the planning board years ago, so that helps. I think I've got a diverse background in the public sector and also in the private sector that I think makes me very flexible and I can kind of fit in where needed. So I think I can be a really good team and role player, so I can complement, what the board may need on a certain issue or a certain topic. If I'm not knowledgeable about that topic, I'll make sure I learn about it before I act or talk about it. So I'm very flexible, and I think I'm very good at consensus building and facilitating conversation. So I think that would be incredibly valuable with this new board because it'll be a different dynamic regardless who's elected, but also with the community at large. So I think the consensus building and the communication skills that I bring to the table will be beneficial within the board, with the zoning board, with community, with the staff in the DPW and in the village hall, and also with my fellow board members.
All right. The next question will be for Larry and Andrew. And Andy, I'll start with you. What would you do differently from the current administration, the current mayor?
Thanks for the question, Jessica. That's a good question.
Yeah.
My platform, since we kicked off our campaign, has been centered around three pillars: transparency, accessibility, and enhancement. I've learned from my 12 years on the village board that there are areas of growth that we need to take advantage of. The next mayor needs to take advantage of.
Sure.
All initiatives that could be spearheaded by the mayor. Currently, the village board meets at 5 p.m. once a month. I'm a special ed teacher. My workday ends at 2:30, and still making a 5 p.m. meeting sometimes could be difficult just because it's so early. And when we do meet, we have 2 or 3 people in attendance. This week's meeting was great. We had about a dozen people. I wish we had that attendance every month. So right away, we're going to move meeting times back to 6:30. We want our residents to be able to make these meetings. And I think that's very important to keep the lines of communication open, keep the transparency being accessible to the public. Also, having said that, regular office hours, open forums. I want to hear from the residents. I want to create these advisory committees of nonprofits and of our business owners. Our village's Chamber of Commerce is struggling right now. They are closing. The village should spearhead these conversations amongst our businesses on how we could best support them and how we could pair them with our nonprofits and pair them with our residents. I want the village board meeting minutes to be posted online in a timely manner. They don't have to be the approved minutes. We have to wait till the next board meeting to approve them, but the village board could review them separately and get them posted within 72 business hours. So if you missed a meeting, you can still follow along on village government. We record our meetings on Zoom. We've been doing this since the pandemic. We do nothing with those recordings. Let's post those on our website. Let's update our website. Let's use social media to communicate better with our residents. All of these little things the mayor can do, and that takes a mayor to take those steps and lead the village in the right direction. E-newsletters, those cost nothing. We have village office staff that can write monthly e-newsletters. When is your garbage going to get pushed back a day because of a holiday? All these things are very clear action steps that the next mayor will have to do.
Larry, what about you?
Yes, I think there could be many improvements. I think there's many talents that could be brought by the trustees to the village mayor and to the village board in general that have not been utilized in our current administration. Seems as though there was favorites for the mayor, and if you weren't in his favorite, then you got pushed aside more or less. And that's what happened to me. I'll make sure that doesn't happen in the next administration. It takes a strong board to run the village, and I think that the mayor should be able to accept all opinions at all times, and even if he disagrees with it, and that's not been happening in our current administration. And uh, make sure we utilize all the talents and the inputs that everybody can bring to the table. Um, yes, as far as communication, I think we do a great job with communication. We have a semi-annual newsletter that goes out and gives all the garbage dates, the pickup dates, the if you have extra stuff to put out by the road, then that schedule is posted. There's our meetings are, and I disagree with Andy. I think minutes should be approved first before they're put online. There's many things that are said. Some things have been said that were just incorrect. And if you put that out there, people think that's true, and it's not true. They have to be approved by the village board first. That's why we have that approval process. And that would be something we make sure we get it out. It's timely, but make sure it's accurate before other people read something that's not accurate. So, so those are some of the things that I would uh, bring to the table and make sure everybody else is included and utilize our staff as much as possible. We have a new employee who's taking over our Facebook page and our social media. She's doing a great job with that, and so we're excited to have her on board and make sure that gets done. So, so that's those are the changes I would bring, and hopefully everybody can bring their talents and to make the village a better place to live for sure.
Jessica, can I clarify the reviewed meeting minutes?
Yes, go ahead.
Several municipalities in the area have moved in this direction. Meeting minutes would be reviewed by the board independently. The following day after a meeting, the drafted minutes would be sent to all 5 board members to review. A 72-hour period. If everybody reviews it, they get posted as drafted minutes on the website. Once again, we do have errors in the minutes that we catch the following month when we go to approve it. If we had drafted minutes sent to us the next day, those conversations are fresh in our head. Those minutes would be more accurate. So those are the reviewed minute process. Several municipalities in the area have started to do that.
Larry, do you want to add on to that at all?
Well, as long as they're accurate, Uh, and I don't think you can do that by reviewing and send your comments in. I think you have to sit at the table with the board and you all sit there and agree with it. I think that somebody might hear something different and interpret it differently, but if we're all in the same room with our secretary who does the minutes, I think we can all agree what's right and get it posted correctly.
Right. So the next question will be for all of you. Um, how should the village balance growth while preserving a small town character? John, I'll start with you.
Yeah, Jessica, before I answer that, since we were just talking about posting things online, I just want to take a sidebar on that if I could really quick.
Sure, go ahead. Yeah.
More of a request, since two of the mayoral candidates are here. Whoever ends up being mayor, please, I'm asking if the development materials for new projects in the village get posted as well. You know, having to go to Village Hall to look at the Dunkin' Donuts plans or the cell tower plans, it's archaic and it's unnecessary. You know, I mean, it just, so as we're moving to online presence, please, let's do that. It's, so many other communities do it. It's, not doing it is kind of the exception, not the rule these days. So anyway, that was just my pitch for something that I think is important.
Sure. Sure.
So I think you asked about balancing growth and preserving small town character.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's a multifaceted process. I think it really does start with the comprehensive plan, which is recently adopted, and the zoning code. I think a lot of people may underestimate how important the zoning code is. If you care about economic development, you care about zoning. If you care about walkability, you care about zoning. If you care about community character, you care about zoning. So I think we've got to get the zoning right. The new zoning code is better than it was significantly, but I have concerns about some of the neighborhood preservation language in there. And I think balancing, the importance of preserving our neighborhoods with economic development is something the code is better than it was, but I still think it needs to go farther. So I do think making sure that the rules and regulations in place are paramount to balancing growth with preservation. And then the other side of it is the development review process. So the zoning board, making sure not just that they have the required 4 hours of training that New York State requires, but we actually push applicants to get the projects we want. I don't want a board that's just going to accept things thrown at them and say yes. I think we need to push applicants to make sure that their projects fit into our community the way we want it to. And I can talk about that at length, but I don't know if I'm close to my 5 minutes, Jessica. But
No, you've got another minute or two. You could,
okay.
if you wanted
Then
to
the other
elaborate, you
thing,
could. Yeah.
the other thing we need to do, we had architectural review. It was forgotten. We need to resurrect that and have an architect or a design professional help with that, not a code enforcement officer. When I was on the planning board, we had an architect that applicants paid for. We didn't use him that often, but when we had a project, a complicated project, we said, hey, we're going to charge the applicant for an architect who's a design professional, who has a sense of place, who knows what is architecturally significant and insignificant for the community of Hilton to help us get a better project. So I think bringing outside resources to the table is something that we need to do on a regular basis. And I think we need to make sure that that relationship between outside professionals and the zoning board is a positive one that we can facilitate year in, year out, project in, project out.
All right. Anything else, John?
No, that's it. Thank you.
All right. Christine, I'll come over to you now. So what are your thoughts on that?
Balancing growth in small town, preserving our small town character.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the village can balance growth while preserving our character by encouraging thoughtful, well-planned development. This would include clear zoning and design standards, protecting our historic areas, any green space that we have, prioritizing development that complements our existing neighborhoods. But at the same time, we want to support sustainable growth. We want to attract businesses and housing that meet our community needs. But we do want to strengthen our local economy, public input, and long-term planning, careful review of projects, and that will help us ensure that the growth enhances our village without losing, again, the qualities that our residents value the most. And again, this does align very closely with what our comprehensive plan currently spells out.
Larry, what are your
Yeah, so my thoughts go way back. Uh, Way back in '65 during the Hilton fire, half of Hilton burned down. And at that time, we're still living with the results of that fire. Um, if anybody remembered the old Arlington Hotel, it was a beautiful building with a wraparound porch and really a mainstay in the community. After the fire, they put up a very unattractive block building for the Arlington. It's what they could do back then, and it showed every time I go around that corner, I see the lack of foresight and planning and architecture as soon as you go around that corner compared to what it used to be. And those kinds of that one particular project is something that I still regret that we weren't able to bring the old character of the village back to Main Street. Um, those one, I guess I'm dating myself here a little bit, but also things like uh, a gas station on Main Street used to be a mainstay. I don't think that's you don't see too many gas stations on main streets in many villages anymore. At least not right on Main Street, maybe offline a little bit. So uh, but the character, I think one of the biggest things in our community is the schools. That is a mainstay and the biggest employer in the village. And their input on the community is very positive. But I think also we can add to some of the old things that blend into the new things are kind of tough to do because they're so old. If you take a look at the Masonic building on East Avenue, that is back from the '60s and it's still there. I wish we could do something with that. I mean, I'm not against the Masons or anything, but it could be upgraded and enhance the village that way. Um, those are a couple of examples of what I think, but uh, we are 95% or maybe 98% built out as far as residential homes. So Hilton is very much just residential homes. It's hard to pack a big box business in here. It just doesn't have the room to support it. And maybe we even had trouble finding a place to put the post office way back 25 years ago. So a lot of challenges there, but I think the uniqueness of the village is preserved, especially the old fire grounds. That's a floodplain area, and that will never change. So that's kind of always good. People like to walk their dogs there. As far as the bike park area, that's a great place. And but there's yeah. So that's my thoughts. I think zoning, planning, and working with the residents of houses, mainly residential homes in the village, is are what we have to work with, and I think that's uh, that's a challenge, but I think we can with the right personnel in place. Like John said, if we get an architectural review people, that'd be great. So yeah, so that's my thoughts.
Andrew?
First, I want to go back to the comment John made about posting all plans and reports online. Yes, that's a must. Just last month, there was a public hearing at the zoning board meeting for our 80-foot cell tower variance. And of course, the week of the meeting, a sign goes out right in front of Carbone's Pizza and a big snowbank. And then I go to our own website. A village trustee goes to the website to see what's there, and there's nothing there. That is a problem. I agree with John. The plan should be online, or at least a description of what's going on should be online. That's something we can do too. So good point, John. As far as the question about balancing growth and preserving the small town character, like Larry said, the village is largely built out. 90, we throw the term 95%, 98%. There's very few building lots in the village of Hilton still available, and that's okay because the town of Parma is building at a crazy level. There are tracks coming up all over the town of Parma right now, and people say they are from Hilton despite not living in Hilton. So people still are drawn to us for the schools, for the small village feel, and that's what we truly enjoy as the village board. That people want to come to us. I actually met a family 2 weeks ago now who moved to the area not too long ago. One grew up in Hamlin, the other out in Webster. They came out here to Hilton to have their kids go to the Hilton schools and be part of the village of Hilton life, which is what I like to hear. The post office building, like I said, becomes ours very soon. That is something that is one of those examples of something that the village can control on how that looks and how we want it to look in our village. If you've driven by the post office building, you might notice that there's a ratty banner advertising passport services right above the door facing South Avenue. That banner's been there forever. And it's basically gone. It's basically a mesh screen at this point. That building becomes the Village of Hilton's. It'll get fixed up. It'll look nicer because it's more or less been neglected by no fault of ours. Just we have currently it's owned by a person who no longer owns it in a couple months from now. So they are just collecting the rent and waiting out the clock for us to take it over. The Village of Hilton will take that building over. We'll make it look nice because it's right in the center of the central business district. Those village-owned properties that aren't being built on, the comprehensive plan, Envision Hilton 2030, outlines some projects in there. The comprehensive plan was done during the pandemic. The pandemic really threw a monkey wrench in how quickly some of the action items were acted upon. So I highly encourage, that is actually on the village website. I encourage people to go check that out. But you look at the front lawn of the village DPW building, you look at the property right next to the water tower that the Village of Hilton mows. There's a property at the end of Parma View Drive that the Village of Hilton owns. All great spaces that the village could do some research into, whether we put a pocket park in there, a walking trail with garden beds, community garden, vegetable gardens, especially right next to the Cedar Terrace townhouses. There's some projects that could definitely beautify the village, give purpose to empty properties that the village does own and maintain, and have a net benefit to the community too.
Wonderful.
Just to add to John's point, Jessica, I
Yeah,
just
go
like
ahead,
just
Larry.
interject. Just to add to John's point, I think even what Andy spoke of, instead of just setting a sign in the stove bank, I think we could utilize a QR code. Everybody has a cell phone now. They can take their just put a QR code on those signs. People can walk up to it, bang, and all the information could be downloaded, whatever they wanted, fairly easily. And I think we should take advantage of that. That answers a lot of questions for a lot of people. Unless, like Lanny said, unless you're in the know, you don't know what's going in on there, even if you go to the meetings. So, but I think taking advantage of the QR code would be a great technology for us to use. Yeah.
And Jessica, one thing I would add, Larry and Andrew are right. I mean, we're 95% built out. One thing we've got to be really careful of is demolitions, especially in downtown. If you look at the building on the corner of Hazen Street, the addition that was built a few years back, you've got parking in front of a two-story building. I love a good two-story building. The building itself is relatively handsome, but if we continue to put parking in front of buildings in downtown, there it goes downtown. It might as well become a commercial suburban strip. Spencerport's not doing it. Churchill's not doing it. Victor's not doing it. Why it happened here, it speaks directly to the development and review process and the code. When you talk about small town character, I spent my life defining it. And one of the things that defines small town character is architecture first, parking in the back. It's quite
Yeah.
simple.
And John, to your point, I think I know what lot you're talking about, and that's a very tight parking lot. It's not easy to even get in and out of. So I agree with you on that point. Christine, did you have any additional thoughts on that? Or no.
No, I agree. I think the public hearing points are really, really important. So residents who don't get a letter mailed to them or maybe don't see the sign are aware or have access to the information can easily get to it. I think that's
Yeah.
really important.
For
How many
sure.
people don't know about that cell tower that they're talking
Right.
about putting up, right? And, everyone will see that cell tower. It's
Yeah.
80 feet
Yeah.
if it goes up, if it gets approved.
And I think I read in the meeting minutes, and I think it was in the zoning board meeting minutes, but is that the one going up on West Avenue?
No,
Or
this is
no?
it'll be adjacent, it will be up against pretty close to the building where Duncan is attached to the
Oh,
bowling alley. So it's
okay.
sort
All
of in
right.
that little alcove that's being created there. There's already an antenna on the roof of the bowling alley. And they're looking to replace that with a tower that's 80 feet plus a 4-foot lightning rod.
Um, I did have one question come in from someone who's in attendance tonight, and I wanted to get this group's thoughts on it, so I'll open it up to everybody. It actually has to do with what the question is, how would any of our candidates deal with the speeding traffic in the village? So I'll open that up just for your initial thoughts and reactions. Is there anything that as a village board you could do to help mitigate, traffic concerns or traffic problems? Andrew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, Great question. Last about a year ago, over a year ago now, New York State made it so villages across the state could reduce the speed limit from 30, which was the minimum municipal speed limit that a village could impose, to 25. And when New York State came through and said we should do this, I brought it up at a village board meeting. The conversation lasted maybe 2 minutes, and we moved on. And I thought it was at least worth having the conversation, kicking the tires on. Yes, people speed. Posted limits 30, people go 40. The conversation I wanted to bring up was if the speed limit's 25, maybe they're now going 35, right? 10 over. Or if they're still going 40 and we have a Monroe County Sheriff officer sitting at the bottom of the hill right across from McDonald's, now they're going 15 over. You do that enough, it'll make an impact. So that's one of the conversations I wanted to bring forward. The state did that based off of data that car accidents at 25 to 30 are more survivable than 30 to 35. So shifting everything down a little bit slower would have been the impact. So it also works. Another part of this is the relationship the village has with the Monroe County Sheriff's Office. I did a ride along back in the spring with a Monroe County Sheriff officer. We did sit down across from McDonald's right there in the driveway to the exempt club. And we did have conversations about speeding through the village. Their hands are a little tied when it comes to resources, staffing. They got bigger fish to fry than speeding, but also it needs to be a conversation between our mayor and the Zone C captain with Monroe County Sheriff's Office on what we want to prioritize. Do we want to prioritize overnight street parking in the winter months? Do we want to prioritize cars that haven't moved out of the 48-hour municipal parking lots? Do we want to prioritize speeding? Do we want to prioritize rolling through stop signs in our neighborhoods? These are things that the village mayor needs to communicate with the sheriff too.
Larry, do you have anything that you'd like to add on that?
Yeah, so for the last 5 years, I put in my budget request the standalone traffic speed limit flashing monitor as you come in the main streets, the main drags of the village. Now you see as you go through by the streets, the street or the speed sign, it tells you how fast you're going, and those have been a great help. We finally got those installed last year, and I believe that they have. I know I live right on East Avenue, one of the busiest streets. They come down along the hill on Wilder Avenue, and they think it's a raceway coming into town. But I have noticed that the speeds have been reduced because we've introduced those speed monitors, and I know I look at them. The other villages and towns have had them, and they seem to be pretty effective. We also have our speed trailer. We call it the speed trailer. That can be set up anywhere where people come in and they think they come to the village meeting, or they come let us know, hey, they're speeding on Short Hills Drive. We can install our portable speed trailer, and that takes data and doesn't arrest anybody immediately, but we do have data, and it does show the highest speed, the lowest speed, and the average speed. So we do get we can record those things and report back to the neighborhoods. This is what we found. This is what we have. This is what we monitored. And if more emphasis need to be done, then we could talk to our Zone C a sheriff, and he can make a priority to make that speeding area a priority for them. So we are kind of limited of what we can do because we don't have our own police department, but there are many technologies we can take advantage of. We take advantage of at least one of them, and I think that was a helpful thing, at least on the main drags, the main streets coming into town. So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Christine, do you have any initial thoughts or reactions?
Yeah, I agree with everything everyone said so far. And I live on South Avenue, so it is a busy street. And I live on Raintree as well. I live right on the corner. And I think that on our roads that are Hilton roads that we also, can do things. I know on Raintree, especially after the townhouses went in, it became sort of people tended to speed going down Raintree all the time. And eventually there was a stop sign put in. I think that definitely helped. But I think more things like that, listening to our residents, hey, if we hear a problem, using the tools that Larry mentioned. And then again, potentially, putting in additional stop signs or speed reducing equipment that, could help. So.
All right, John?
Yeah, whoever asked that question, thank you. As a resident of West Ave, the speeding going out of the village is remarkable, and the speeding coming in, even past our house. I have 4 houses down from the library. So you would think at this point they'd be slowing down, but oftentimes they do not. So, speeding's a real issue. And again, if you want to have a walkable, pedestrian-friendly, safe village for young people or people of any age to ride their bikes or walk around, we've got to try to address that. I know the last speeding ticket I got was leaving southbound outside of the village. I was late for an exam. It was 20 plus years ago. I was embarrassed, but I got a speeding ticket. So it would be nice if we can if there could be some enforcement, not all the time. I know the sheriff is busy, but word of mouth, if, the sheriffs tend to hang out down by the fireman's field, which I get, even if the sheriff's, from just speaking selfishly for West Avenue, and I'm sure we could replicate this elsewhere, if there's a sheriff sitting over at Quest, speeding in or speeding out, they may not have to ticket them, but the visual impact of a car sitting there would be a deterrent. So I think the speeding issue is real, and I think we've got to continue to use the tools we have. And I do think a conversation with the sheriff to find out what else we could do is a perfect next step.
Sure. All right. Thank you, guys. So I know we are getting close to 7 o'clock. I booked this in for 90 minutes. Larry, I'm going to just ask our 4 candidates, Christine, Larry, John, and Andy. Would it be okay to go to 7? Do you guys have a time thing that you would like to be done by 7? Would you like to go to 7:30, or would you like to end at 7? I'll ask you guys. I have a couple more questions I'd like answered. I don't want to keep everybody all night. I know that, this is a big time commitment for everybody. So my next question, and again, this is for everybody. What would you do to support local businesses in the village? And John, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, first I spend a lot of my money in Hilton, so I between eating and drinking, I try to support Jose Joe's and the restaurants, and as best I can. Just my waistline tells me I'm supporting the businesses, the restaurants quite nicely. So I think good economic development is twofold. So it's supporting existing businesses, and I think you had one of your questions in here, Jessica, which I really liked, was talking about something about local economic development versus bringing businesses in from the outside. I thought that was a really good question. So I think, small towns and villages, I think one of the secret formulas for success for economic development is to try to expand businesses and working with business owners that already know the community. And I think, just to use Tom Bond and his wife at the Arlington is a perfect example. So they have a restaurant, then a liquor store, and then a second location with Jose Joe's. So in small town America, I think that's what good economic development looks like, because they know the community, that they know what works. Bringing in people from outside sometimes can be a successful formula, sometimes not. But I always think homegrown is best first. And then, our board, the village board can't open businesses for people, but we can connect people. We can talk to existing owners to say, what's working, what's not working. Hey, have you ever thought about expanding? If you did, what might it look like? So engaging those conversations to kind of facilitate good economic development and supporting local businesses is something I think the village can do. And I'm not saying they're not doing it, but I just think that's something that it's an ongoing conversation, because businesses change, business climates change. So it's not like you can say we did a survey of businesses 5 years ago. I'm not saying that's what the village did, but you've got to stay on top of that. Some communities hire economic development coordinators. I don't think we need to do that. We're fortunate. Most of our business spaces are full. We've got a pretty good occupancy rate in the village. It's not perfect, but it's better than a lot. Especially in a day and age where retail and things of that nature aren't really sticking around on Main Street anymore. So I think it comes down to growing and interacting with successful local businessmen first and business persons first, and then recruiting as we can. I did have a conversation with the county executive a month or so ago, and he was pleading with me. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, but he pleaded. He said, "Please, please, please, if Hilton needs something, please reach out to me, because the West Side communities don't bother me that much." And he goes, "I hate that. I would rather have the West Side communities call me and say, we've got this project, or we need a business, or we have an empty storefront. Let's work with Comida, the County of Monroe Economic Development Agency." So I do think reaching out to other economic partners like the county is a no-brainer, and we need to continue. We need to do more of that.
For sure. Larry, do you have any insight to add to that?
Well, one of the things I think I'm all for supporting local businesses. I've run one, and but we have to make sure that we're fair and equitable with all the businesses. We can't pick and choose who we like and give them. Well, one of the things that we do, I think, is overlooked, is the whole parking behind Arlington and that whole area is all supported and maintained by the village to promote all the businesses on that block. So sometimes I think all the salting, all the plowing, all the landscaping, etc., that's done on that, and that is there to promote local businesses and in that block. And I think that we do a great job with that. It's not other businesses have their own parking lot. They have to maintain it. It gets very expensive. So that can be an expense that we offer to our local businessmen, that especially on Main Street, that I think is a great asset to those. I'm all for I'm all for adding other opportunities, but we are growing out as far as the zoning. We're really kind of strapped about what kind of small businesses we can bring in here. Our newest businesses we brought in are mainly, if anybody goes down Old Hojack, if you want to store something, we got plenty of storage areas now. But that's kind of we can't attract big businesses, but the ones we have, the local small mom and pop pizza places and places like that, the banks, we can obviously help more with that, but we have to be fair and equitable when we do it. So one business doesn't seem like it gets favored over another. So that's my thoughts. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome. Christine, how would you support local businesses in the village?
I think all the points everyone's raised are really good, but I think that, having a forum where we can, ask the businesses, what can we do to help you? How can we help your business be successful is really important in trying to solicit that feedback, giving them a forum to provide it to us. And, more than anything, I think that we can all support local businesses by shopping local and really, taking the opportunities to shop local versus, driving to Wegmans, going to Tops or, going to, Jose Joe's or whatever it is that we have a lot of great businesses in the village and, we should really try to take advantage of them because we really don't want those businesses to leave.
Andrew?
Thanks for the question. One of the things that the village should be doing is supporting the village businesses as much as they can. If we are out to purchase an item and a local business has that, the Village of Hilton should be taking the responsibility of purchasing that as long as the prices are reasonable, supporting our local businesses. This past fall, Jamie Atoma and I ran the Hilton Great Gobbler Getaway. It was a little side project of ours. We worked with 25 businesses that volunteered to participate. We threw an event where there was a scavenger hunt through shops in the Village of Hilton on a Saturday. It was very easy for us to put it together. It got us talking with the business owners to hear from them, like my colleagues here mentioned, to hear what they wanted to see. We brought people who lived in the Village of Hilton out to visit stores that they didn't know existed. We have a soap shop. We have a consignment clothing shop. The Heart of Hilton has been great, a place for people, hobbyists, artisans, bakers, crafters to sell their products, and it's like a family. We have all these small pocket businesses in the village. The Village of Hilton's, even though it's small, it's pretty spread out if you look at the business areas. We have Main Street, we have Old Hojack, we have Canning Street. We've put an event together in the fall where people visited these sections, and we had a lot of people walk actually from one section to the next, visiting these stores, businesses. We brought outside people in. We had a family from Holly who has never once stepped foot into the Village of Hilton, but they said, "This looks fun, let's go do it." That's what the Village of Hilton needs to do. We need to at least be the voice here of saying, these are the businesses we have. Uh, let's do these small business Saturday events. Let's give them some space in e-newsletters that we send out. Let's update the directory on our website so people know what's in the village. And we're talking a lot of businesses that have storefronts and that are in retail settings. But let's also create a database, a searchable database on the website for contractors. You need a plumber, you want one from the Village of Hilton because it's a Sunday evening. Maybe the Village of Hilton website is a place where we could connect people, our residents, with local business owners, keeping the money here in Hilton. And also because if they live down the street, they might be able to come fix your stuff a little bit quicker too.
Mhm.
So those are all plans that we've thrown together, and it's exciting. That's what yeah, we have great business in the Village of Hilton. Very few storefronts. We built a whole new plaza. When I say we, a whole new plaza was built right by the bowling alley.
Okay.
And it's still growing. Yes, Dunkin' Donuts, I believe they poured concrete this week. But those are all stores that didn't exist in the Village of Hilton more or less a year ago, which is really great for the Village of Hilton. And then one more quick story. One of your questions you posed to us, Jessica, was balancing small businesses and franchises. Small businesses are great. You look at the Village of Hilton 20 years ago, Craigleo's Pizza was just starting. They celebrated their 20 years a couple months back. They are now a franchise that started here in the Village of Hilton. Tony started off as a small shop. Now he's got more than a handful. So that's really and he plays a huge role in our community and our different nonprofits and in our schools. But that's really the dream of these small businesses is to make it. And there's one that started right here on our main street that made it too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, Another question, this will be for all of you. So people often talk about what's broken. Um, so I'd like to ask you all, what do you think is actually going really well right now in the village? Christine, I'll start with you on that one.
Sure. I think the village, there's a lot of really great things. We've had an influx of new businesses, as Andrew just mentioned, facades of buildings that were just refreshed and updated. There's so much available in walking distance, parks, there's food options, bowling, a post office, grocery stores, pharmacies. We have festivals, we have holiday celebrations. And we have a good collaboration with Parma too, right? And I just feel like there's so many services and things we offer. I just think those are all really great things that you don't see everywhere. So, yeah.
Larry, what about you? What's going well right now?
Well, there are many areas of the village that are working well. First, the village staff and DPW that provide the services to maintain the infrastructure that to our residents come to expect is second to none. They work hard every day. They keep the village in shape, the infrastructure um, in great shape. And so I think that's one of the things that's really working well for us. Second, I feel we support and have a strong and working relationship with our local businesses. The recreation, Primer Recreation, really puts on a lot of events that is family oriented, from seniors down to infants, and those um, partnering with the recreation department is a great benefit for the Hilton. Of course, the schools have many events, and we're also part of the village. Also has a part of helping the villages maintain their high standards. Um, the sheriff's department, great working relationship with the sheriff's department. They're very reactive to what we need, especially for parades and for shutting down roads and for emergency times. Great working relationship there. Um, One thing I think that we could strengthen is our relationship with the local fire department. It's been on the, I would say, been not as good as it could be in the past few years. And if I become mayor, I definitely will strengthen that that partnership with them. So there.
Andrew, what are your thoughts on what's going well right now?
I agree with both Larry and Christine. There's a lot of good happening. It starts with the civil servants in the village, the full-time staff, both in the office and the DPW. Being we're one of the largest villages in Monroe County. We have one of the lowest tax rates in Monroe County, and that comes uh, completely to the hands of our workers. There were many hats. We offer one of the most services too that any municipalities do offer. You look at our sidewalks, our streets, our street lights, snow plowing, brush collection, leaf collection, refuse. If you take our a $200,000 assessment, is roughly the equivalent of a $340 tax that covers your refuse and recycling alone, right? If you're outside of the village and you have to pay out of pocket for that. So the amount of services you get here in the village, bang for the buck, definitely is something that we are doing very well. As well as people still take that pride that they live here, they grew up here, they want to live here. We have a community that comes out for each other. You look back in the fall when federal funding froze for food benefits and the amount of food drives for the Hilton Parliament Community Food Shelf skyrocketed. Then we have local businesses stepping up to make and deliver free Thanksgiving meals around the holidays. Um, that doesn't happen everywhere. That happens in our community. That's what makes Hilton so special. People want to live here. People want to be a part of this, and the village does a great job keeping people here too.
John, what do you think about what's going right in the village right now?
Yeah, I'll skip to the ones that haven't been talked about.
Sure.
There's a few things come to mind. One, as I thought about this, is volunteerism. I think Andy just touched on it, and I think Larry did indirectly as well. I think Christine, we've all touched on it indirectly throughout the evening, but I work in a lot of communities where they've lost their volunteer fire department. They've had to close up the food pantry, things of that nature. So I look around the state and I think the volunteerism and the volunteering ethic or ethos of our villages is significant and fantastic. And it's hard to put a handle on why that is or how do we foster that, but something's working, something's in the water out here. I want to make sure I acknowledge that. Um, Sidewalks, I've talked about walkability once or twice. I think not that we take it for granted because a lot of people live in a village want that walkability. But again, there's so many other communities where their sidewalks aren't maintained consistently. They're not plowed in the winter. So I do think that it goes to the services, but I think it's just more of a kind of a differentiator from Hilton to other places that I really appreciate. I think property values are strong. You know, when you look at, we've got a great school system, people want to live here, businesses are investing here. I was working on a project in the town of Ogden, and on our committee was a local real estate agent, and she had to break the news to the committee. She's like, the hottest spot on the west side isn't Spencerport anymore, it's Hilton. Which I had a swell of pride. I got some dirty looks at the meeting, but that's not my fault. So it goes. Sorry. We're a hot commodity. I think that's it comes with challenges, but again, it's always nice to know that people see that you're doing something well. And again, I think we care for each other and we care about the community. We've got 7 people running for office. You don't see that all the time either. So I just think, neighborly is something you talk about almost as a cliche, but it's true. It's true in Hilton. It's true elsewhere too, but it's definitely true here.
All right. I think I'm going to jump down to it's about 7:10, and we've done a lot of talking about what everybody thinks about the village, and a lot of great ideas and things discussed. But I want to talk a little bit about more personal things so people can get to know you as a person, as a candidate. So I'm going to ask, and Larry, I'll start with you. What is the one thing that residents of the village would be surprised to learn about you?
Uh, I guess one of the things I don't think everybody knows, I'm a pilot. I have my pilot's license. So that takes a lot of training, a lot of guts at times, and but it makes you realize what you can do, and if you follow the right procedures and get the right training, and definitely something that I always wanted to do, and I'm glad I was able to accomplish that. One of the side benefits, John just talked about volunteerism. So I took my hobby of flying and was instrumental in having the flying breakfast here for 15 years down at Hendershots. That was we used to go fly to different areas and have breakfast. They called them flying breakfast. I said, boy, we should have one in Hilton. And it was the first year nobody even knew what one was, and and we were wondering if anybody would even come. The first year we had 200 people come. The next year was 2,000. The next year was 10,000, and stayed there for the next 12 years. We couldn't even serve any more breakfasts in 4 hours than the people were standing in line for. But that's one of the things that I'm very proud of. I took a hobby that I always wanted to do and made it a benefit Hilton, and I was very proud about that. So yeah.
Christine, what about you?
Wow. Well, I'll go with the sports thing. Larry mentioned a pilot. I used to race sailboats and raced both out of Brockport Yacht Club, where I started initially racing, and then eventually ended up racing out of Rochester Yacht Club for a while on a 30-foot boat, but it was a lot of fun. You learn a lot about teamwork, learning how to rely on other people for your safety. It's actually a really, it is definitely something that takes a lot of coordination, and it's dangerous. So I think that's something people probably didn't know about me. So.
Awesome. John, what about you?
Mine hasn't changed since I was a kid. I grew up in a funeral home. My
Okay.
my 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 dad was a mortician. My grandfather was a mortician. So it was a family business in Leroy. My brother and my chores were different than most.
Okay.
Moving flowers, moving caskets, and other things I won't get into here. But it really was. I wouldn't have traded it for the world. It really was fascinating, and I learned a ton watching my father dealing with people at some of their lowest points, and how he communicated with them and how he cared for them and the compassion that it takes, to do that business successfully. It's not an easy business. And, I saw that firsthand, and, it really did shape who I am today.
Andrew?
Something that might not be too well known. I grew up in a family full of civil servants. Many people in our community knew my father, Stephen. He was the Hilton Parma Parks and Recreation Director for his career. Many people don't know this, though. My mom was the Town of Gates Recreation Parks Director at the same time. So my childhood grew up around these special events, whether it's the July 4th summer celebration for Gates, Parma Days for the town of Parma, waking up early and setting up the course for the Apple Derby race here. Monday and Wednesday nights, taking the T-ball equipment out of our garage on Cambridge Road and bringing it up to the high school backfields and setting up the fields for the leagues to play in. This is something that is just ingrained in my brothers and I. This is something that, we grew up in, we took part of, we tried out new equipment, we bounced ideas off of each other. This is just the life that we've grown up in, is this public service. And moving it forward, anybody who has kids that has gone through Hilton High School, there's a student club called the Cadet Crew, the Hilton Cadet fan base. That came from me as a freshman turning into a sophomore. We started a club and an organization 15 years later that's still there, more than 15, and I'm dating myself now. Um, that's still there. I learned how to bring a community together, found an interest, a sense of belonging, brought some people in, and we made something happen. Following my father's passing 12 years ago, we created the Friends of Hilton Parma Parks and Recreation. Volunteers who wanted to raise money to enhance the Hilton Parma Recreation Parks programming and events. I'm co-founder of that, current president of that nonprofit. We raise money all year long. We sponsor Sources of Strength race that is coming up in a couple months for mental health. We sponsored Santa's travel expenses into the Village of Hilton for the tree lighting. This is something our nonprofit has done because the community aspect. So my whole entire life that I've been here in the Village of Hilton, I've done more than just be here in the Village of Hilton. I've been part of the Village of Hilton, and that's something that that storyline just is something that not everybody knows all the smaller details to.
The next question, also more of a personal one. What book, mentor, or experience has most shaped your leadership style? John, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, I'll go mentor on this. That sounds like a game show. Like I get to choose my category. I could do any of the three, but I'd say mentor. During my college, my job, I walked in and I got a job at a really high-end fitness store, but it happened to be owned by one of the owners was the highest elected official in the county down in Virginia. So essentially the county executive. So while I was going to school and putting together fitness equipment on the side part-time for the job, I was listening to him talk on the phone, working with developers, working with infrastructure providers, working with financial people on how to run a government, a rapidly growing government with a lot of issues. So I had a front row seat for that. And he really taught me how to ask questions and how to engage, whether it's a happy constituent or an angry constituent or an angry someone who wants to invest or a developer or something like that who's upset with you. So I got to watch how he handled those conversations, those crucial conversations that sometimes get very uncomfortable, and he did it so well. So I think I got to give Dave Bowerman a ton of credit because, again, it kind of shaped who I am as a public servant, as a government consultant.
Christine, what about you?
I am going to go with mentor as well. Years ago, I was working at the University of Rochester. A chairman of the department that I was working in at the time, he had just moved here. And he was an MD, but he also had a PhD. He was a very smart man, and very busy. But he always took the time to make sure, and it was a big department I was working in. I mean, there were more close to 100 people. He always made the time to make sure that he knew what was important to you, not just work-wise, but personally, and took that time to really, um, you know, just he cared about you, not just as an employee. And that always resonated with me, that was such a special trait and a quality. And the other thing that he taught me, so the first one was pretty subtle, but the second one was just a conversation I had with him. And I don't even remember what the topic was, but I went to him with a problem. And I said, hey, Andre, I think we need to talk about this, whatever the problem was. And he was like, what's your proposal for the solution? And, and he was really trying to encourage me to think about not just what the problem was, but how I would solve it. Not that that would be the solution, but that I had given it enough thought to not just think about the actual problem, but, what the solution might be so that we could have an active conversation. And both of those things I think were really, really special, things that I learned from him.
Okay, perfect. Andrew?
I'll be the odd one out and I'll go with experience, just for the sake of the conversation. I'm a special education teacher at Monroe 2 Orleans BOCES. I'm in my 10th school year there. I've have over 12 years in public education as well. As a special education teacher, I have been a case manager for a caseload of students. Part of that is communicating and coordinating with a team of related service providers, whether it's a school social worker, a speech pathologist, OT, PT, the team, administrators, but most importantly, the students and the parents. One of the last couple times that I've been a case manager, I haven't been in a position where I've been a case manager in the last 4 years. I empowered my students to really voice what they wanted, what they needed. And through that process, we evolved the committee of special education to really be student centered and student voiced, having them verbalize that they have a disability and this is what they need from us. And that communication style resonates with me. Just being a special educator, the conversations we've had in the classroom center around problem solving, center around uh, getting different players to work well together, doing less with more, or I'm sorry, flip that, doing more with less, because we're in public education. There's not always funding for these opportunities. Dealing with challenges, all of these experiences uh, along the way, I've met these mentors. There's the mentor piece. As simple as I worked with a gentleman, Paul Yockel. The Yockel family is a Hilton family. Something I learned from him is very simply wrapping up conversations by just saying, I appreciate you. That's something that I picked up from him because the way it made me feel, that I was valued, that I was heard. So I try to bring that out to when we have these tough conversations, when someone does a favor for somebody, I just appreciate you. That's all it takes. And it's just a simple thing that the beauty of special education over these years, I've met these people that have these things. And it's just a great form of communication, a great experience. And that's something I hope to bring to our office too.
All right. Larry, what about you?
I'm gonna pick two.
Okay, go ahead.
One is I guess the experience that most shaped me, I think, is when I was a young man, just graduated from high school. My father went into a business and he mortgaged the house to start the business. And we had to make it work, or we basically didn't eat, or we didn't have a place to live. And when you're faced with that, you learn how to work and you learn how to make do with what you have and and become successful through basically good old fashioned hard work. I think that experience has, I mean, I worked for my dad for 3 years and didn't get a paycheck. That's what it took to make us. So I remember those days, and so I think that experience stuck with me my whole life. I'll stick with two books. One is I read just recently read a book. It's called The Ride of a Lifetime. It's by Bob Iger. He's the CEO of Disney, and a book about how he came from nothing up to being the CEO of one of the biggest corporations in the United States, if not the world, and the challenges and how he got his team to work together and be successful. That book was, and the other book I just recently read was called Duty. It's by Robert Gates. Bob Gates was the defense secretary for George Bush second. And the president called him up and said, "Would you be our defense secretary during the Iraq War when everything was going bad?" And there was a send off by the ROTC. He was the president of Texas A&M University, and the ROT gave him a send off. The whole football stadium came in, and the ROTC gave him a great send off. And when he got 3 weeks into the job, he said, "What did I say yes for?" Because it was a big mess. They had to put the surge on. There was more casualties, more killing, more all that. And when he went back to Texas A&M, he was after his completion at the Defense Department. Two of the soldiers that issued him off were hit by IEDs and were severely paralyzed, and he felt sad about that. Those two books, I think. Leadership is looks like it's always easy, but it's not. And those are some of the challenges that I learned in those two books. So, yeah.
Thank you. Well, I think that'll conclude our questions for tonight. I want to thank all of our candidates for getting on. You guys were wonderful and I appreciate your time. So I do want to recognize, so everybody remembers, Election Day is Wednesday, March 18th. Polls are open from 12 to 9 p.m. and it's at the Village Community Center, on Henry Street. And I will also remind everyone, so Larry and Andrew are both running for mayor. There's one open seat for mayor. We also have Michael Singillo running for mayor. And then there's two open seats for trustee. And our candidates are Christine Brower, John Steinmetz, also Jamie Atoma, and Jolie as well. And those two could not make it tonight. So thank you all again. I appreciate everything. I did record this Zoom and I'll post it on the HiltonRecord.com. And if Facebook will let me, I'll try to post it on Facebook too, but it might not because of the size. The candidates have also been given a questionnaire, which consisted of the questions that were asked tonight. And they will get those questions back to me and I'll also print them on my Facebook on the website as well. So everybody will have a chance to read all of the questions as well. There were some that I did not ask tonight. I was very excited. I put out about 25 or 26 questions, and I recognized, and thank you, Larry. You kind of humbled me, and you said there's no way we're going to get to all of these, and you were right. But I think they were great questions, and I think that in print form will probably be a good place for everybody to read those. All right. Any final comments, everyone?
Thank you, Jessica, for putting this forum on. It's great.
Yeah,
and
you're welcome.
I know you do it with your own time.
Yeah.
And volunteer your time and your talents for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks,
Thank you, everybody.
everyone.
Yeah, thanks,
Bye-bye.
John. Thanks, Andy. Bye, Christine. Bye.